afternoon. It is time for Coffee on the Coast. This is a Book Banter episode. Good afternoon and welcome to Coffee on the Coast. Thank you to our sponsor today, Sea Hafer News. I'm your host, Tina Prigge. I am delighted to welcome back to the show Therese Horstketter from Manitowoc Public Library for some book banter. Hi, Therese.
Hello.
I don't know if you can tell, but I just love our book banter days.
I can tell.
We've been doing this for a while now, and not just me, but I think all of our viewers on the coolest coast, we're so fortunate that as Manitowoc Public Library librarian, you join us on the show and you give us some recommendations and introduce us to books that we may not be aware of or that we may not have thought to pick up yet. I know that hearing your recommendations often encourages me to give a book a try that I might have, not even thought twice about. For example, a couple of months ago on the show, you recommended a book called The Island, and I just finally finished it. And oh my gosh, it was pretty good.
Yes.
And it unfolds so differently than you might expect. So
There was a lot going on there, and kind of nerve-wracking. I mean, it stayed with you, and just how they are going to work their way through what they put themselves into.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one of those books that I started reading. I had to keep going because there was not a settled down place where you could just stop and stop thinking about it. Yeah. Cool. So we are here. Viewers, if you have read any of the books that are being recommended or have a recommendation of yourselves, definitely join us in the comments. Leave us a note. We would love to hear. Therese is here because she's got 5 new recommendations for us today. Let's start, Therese, with a book that you're currently reading. You said that's Tremors in the Blood, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a book called Tremors in the Blood. It's Murder, Obsession, and the Birth of the Lie Detector by Amit Katwala. Tell us more about this.
I picked this up because I must have seen a blurb about it somewhere, but mentioning that it was a nonfiction book having to do with the lie detector, I thought it sounded pretty interesting, and it happens to read really like fiction. It starts out with a car chase, and there is someone who dies during the car chase, and then what follows, both family involvement, strangers who saw what happened, and how people are both, or I should say all, telling their versions of the truth, what they thought happened. And there is a detective who is aware of different ways to find things out when they've been coming upon fingerprinting, and then, of course, this new so-called lie detector. And so I have not gotten to the point that they're using it yet, but it's going to be in there, and I'm really enjoying it. It is an easy read, just that I haven't gotten through it. It takes place around 1922, and is when the car accident happens. And is it an accident? Is it to start with? And then with what happens to the family that was in the car. So there are a lot of questions and a lot of people telling different versions.
So it's interesting when you think about a device like a lie detector. It's just so much a part of our culture. You think about all the crime shows and whatnot.
Yeah.
You forget that it had to be invented, like that there was a time before. So I think on one of the blurbs that I read about the book, it said one of the guys involved in creating it was a magician.
Yeah, and see, I didn't even get to that part of it yet, but I'm looking forward to finding out all of that, because I can't imagine how quite they went through all of that to get to the point that it is something you're going to want to trust.
Right.
And,
right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I think, let's see, is it this blurb here? Nope. Here.
Here we go.
So this quote, I just wanted to read. This was in the Libby description for the book. It says, as new forms of lie detection gain momentum in the present day, Tremors in the Blood reveals the incredible truth behind the creation of the polygraph through gripping true crime cases featuring explosive gunfights, shocking twists, and a high-stakes courtroom drama. Touching on psychology, technology, and the science of the truth, Tremors in the Blood is a vibrant, atmospheric thriller and a warning from history. Beware what you believe.
Yeah. So I don't know what the way that is going to go either.
It kind of makes me think that perhaps it's saying it's not 100% infallible, right?
Right. I would think it has to be looked at that way and still is. I mean, when you think about lie detectors, when you hear different things about them, or somebody is told they have to take one or refuses, or,
Yeah.
where it really stands in most people's eyes.
And interesting. And I do think that's an important caution, right? We should all
Oh,
always beware what we believe. Just
oh,
because
yeah.
something seems to be the norm, it's okay to
Hmm.
question it.
Oh, yeah. I think
Yeah.
so. Think we'll
Okay.
see a lot of that in here yet.
Okay. All right. So you guys, that the book we just talked about, that is Tremors in the Blood. And the quote on the cover says, beautifully told, everything a reader wants in a true crime book.
I'm loving it. Really, it is. If it's, what I'm expecting yet to see how this is invented, how people go about, getting it out there to use more. Um, but, but like I said, it reads like a very good novel. So,
Nice. But you said
yeah,
it is nonfiction? Like this is
right,
really okay.
right.
Okay, interesting. Okay, let's talk about another book. You said now this one is an older one that you're bringing up for
Hmm.
recommendation. This is called Wing Shooters. It's a novel by
Right.
Nina Revoyer. And tell us more about this.
This is a book that I read quite a few years ago and absolutely loved it. It's an old favorite, and it is about a smaller town. And back in the 50s, there is a girl who lives with, her name is Michelle, or yeah, Michelle, I thought it was Michelle. Um, she is the child of a white father and a Japanese mother. And so her parents met overseas. Her dad came back, brought her, and left her with his parents. So she is being raised by her grandparents in a small town in, it says, Dearborn, Wisconsin,
Oh,
which was part of the reason that I think this kind of came to our eye years ago. But she is well loved by her grandparents. And she is somewhat, of course, picked on for being different, but would be defended heartily by her grandparents. The other thing that's happening roughly around the same time is that the first African American couple comes to town when a new clinic or hospital is opened, and he's a doctor. And they are thoroughly not accepted. And so, what is weird is that you can have these people that will defend this little girl, and she's part of our family, and my friends will listen to me that she is part of our family, but there are other people far enough away from them, and also more people out there to look at this new couple that are against any kind of change, and especially any I don't want to say majority racially, but because there are very few people moving into the town at this point, but um, that I think they're kind of afraid of that, that they are not going to have their same little town. There are eventually issues between very good friends, and the son comes back into things, some play in there, but it is just, I loved the characters in it because so many of them reminded me of relatives when I was growing up. And mostly just the casual way, yes, you defend family.
hmm.
And, but there might be ways that you think it's just fine to look at other folks. And not saying I had bad relatives, but that people's minds go in two different ways.
Yeah.
And there were just some strong characters that I identified with, but not the racial condemning part of it. But I could see these people in the characters. And I loved the book, and I don't know what else I can say about it too much. You kind of have to get into it. I was very surprised at some of the things that happened in the book, and it's heartbreaking. It's amazing what we do for friends and family, and could also, in the blink of an eye, that could change.
This is a heavy topic about
It
this book,
is.
Therese.
It is.
And I think it's probably, though, important to keep reminding ourselves about this topic. I just want to pull up a quick blurb that, again, this is from Libby. It says, Nina Revoir is a writer of rare voice and distinct talent. Wing Shooters, it's the tale of an isolated, all-white community torn apart by prejudice after the arrival of a half-Japanese girl and a young Black couple. Revoir continues her unique and affecting exploration of American racism in a concentrated novel that draws breathtaking contrasts between all that is beautiful in life and the malignancy of hate.
And one thing that I thought of along the way with a little hint here was that Michelle's grandfather did not approve of her parents getting married, but they very easily took her in and defend her as much as they know they are, where it talks about, or where you would read about how she, like I said, does get picked on, has her own issues living there, and probably kids that you don't know about. Could be adults too. But it's not that she goes to her grandfather immediately for everything. So she's kind of standing her own ground, but he is there for her. So it's, that there's two sides of that already, that he didn't approve of the marriage, but he will protect her.
Interesting.
So
big topics,
yeah.
Heavy, complicated, and I would wager important to continue revisiting these. So, we can hopefully try to learn, right? And not maybe make those same mistakes. Yeah. Okay. So that was Wing Shooters. Moving on. Now this one seems incredibly quirky. Let's talk about How I'll Kill You, a novel by Ren DeStefano.
How I'll Kill You, just what you can see on the cover. The three women. And not that it'll take anything away, but it is three sisters, and their fun in life, or their pastime, is to find someone, to make this person love them, and then to kill them.
Oh my God.
And they have kind of their own rules about how they have to go about this. And as the blurb says, the one daughter, or the one sister, who has not completed that whole, what you have to do there, is starting on her project and falls in love with the person that she is supposed to kill. So that kind of tells you the whole oomph of the book there, and which is in the blurb, and but yeah, so far they are interesting. They are very interesting characters, and they are special in a certain way that you'll find out.
Okay.
And that is really the gist of the book. And
is it the sisters themselves that are twisted and came up with this idea? Or is it like parents or some elders that are channeling them down this weird path?
I think it's just the sisters, but this is the other book I'm reading right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I told you my reading has taken a pause the past couple of weeks. But so I'm reading both Tremors and this one. Okay. And I am rather liking not necessarily just liking the sisters, but the play between them, and just to see where this is really going to go.
Okay.
Like, what's going to happen to her if she doesn't follow through? And yeah.
So is it kind of a quirky and fun book, or is it like?
It is kind of that, because it just doesn't seem as serious as the subject is.
Right.
You know, so, and the way the sisters talk about it and handle it. And, yep, it's definitely different.
Safe to say, not a true story?
I would say not. No.
And is this
Well, we hope not. Who knows? Maybe somewhere out there.
God, no, no, no.
Yeah.
Is this a relatively new release?
Yes, it is. That's where I spotted it.
Okay.
Right on our Lucky Day shelves as you walk in the door. Yep, it was there. And it's like, oh, it kept being there. I mean, I would see it and then it would go away and then I'd see it again. And it's like, oh, I think I'm supposed to read that. So, yes.
Nice. Okay, I think I've got a blurb here from the Libby app too. Let's just check. Okay, your next stay up all night thriller about identical triplets. Oh, so the sisters are triplets.
That's it. Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
have a nasty habit of killing their boyfriends. And what happens when the youngest commits their worst crime yet, falling in love with her Mark?
Yeah.
So does that imply that they are habitually doing this?
I am thinking so. And the thing with triplets is that they could be alibis for each other. So that puts a whole different spin on, these three,
Right.
yes, working together at this. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that book is How I'll Kill You by Ren DeStefano. Okay, so then similar color theme, also a dark topic.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Monsters We Make by Kali White. And it says addictive, must be read with the lights on.
It is about, and it does have some very tense moments in it, I must say. And especially, I shouldn't say I hate because I do read them occasionally. I kind of steer away when it's more children being in peril.
Yeah.
But this one is about newspaper boys waiting to get their papers and being alone, trudging through the dark mornings. And so one had disappeared years ago. They never solved the crime. And then we are modern day and it has a paper boy running. That's kind of how it starts. And it goes from there about eventually another paper boy is taken. And then there are people who kind of have thoughts. And even from the last one that disappeared years ago, and a new detective, but he was where there was something like this going on also. But he's determined that he is going to solve it and this is not going to be happening anymore. And so it's very good. There is the paperboy and his sister who is really hoping to leave this town, but she's also kind of trying to solve this by being a journalist. And so her take on it is a little different. And they have a mom that is not too able to help them out. She's very busy, just kind of existing and raising her two children, and does not get as in depth in this as the kids do.
Okay. Did I read a blurb that this is like loosely based on something that really happened?
It was. And I don't remember that happening. In there, it's like, oh, okay, I could see, where they listed something like that. And it's, it's nothing that I remember standing out at the time, put it that way. But yes, I could definitely see this having been a real life, unfortunately.
So where does this book take you? Like what kind of journey are you on and where do you end up?
Well, you are looking at the people in the town, and was that the car that somebody saw? And one boy goes running up to a policeman and asks him a question, but then runs away. And then that's the same boy that was running from something before, but he doesn't want to talk to anybody about it. And so I think it's, as you look at kids who are just afraid to say anything and get involved in something that they're not sure of, and you're screaming at them to talk to somebody while you're reading this. It's that kind of feeling with it.
Yeah.
And is that some guy we should look at? What about this one? He's sitting in a park looking at kids. And is that someone, there are quite a few loose loose ends that are some are regulars in the town and some are visitors for what seems a normal reason, but yes. So
Hmm.
you have a lot going on with these individual people and the different boys that are involved with it, unfortunately.
So when you get to the end and you close the book, how are you feeling?
I think it is mostly, I hate to say kind of satisfied, but there's just always that it's more of a relief kind of, even just finding out. So not to give anything away, but as to really find out what happened here,
Yeah. Okay.
that you just have that. Yeah,
Is this a newer release too?
this is.
Okay. So I think I have a
Oh,
blurb from.
actually, sorry about that. I'm just looking at the date on my paper, and it is a couple years old. I was thinking that it was a brand new one, but no, it is. I just happened upon it yet.
Okay. Nice. I think this is a blurb from Libby. It says the monsters we make deftly explores the effects of one crime exposing another and the secrets people keep hidden from friends, families, and sometimes even themselves. That's a good
Yeah,
blurb.
yeah.
That is a good blurb. Okay. Wow, Therese. Okay, so then what is this final recommendation like? This is called
Okay.
What Happened to Ruthie Ramirez, a novel by Claire Jimenez.
This one I just found to be more of, it's a relaxing read. It is a good read. It's an easy read. There are three sisters and their mother involved. They live on Staten Island. They are a Puerto Rican family, and the middle daughter goes missing. And this has already happened when the book starts. It happened a few years ago that they had tried in some ways to find her. They don't know if she ran away, if somebody took her. And so she's just always there in their minds. And one day, uh, the oldest daughter is watching TV and sees a reality show, and her sister's on it. Her missing sister is what she believes. And she calls her other sister and says, "Get on this channel, look at, and it's like, oh, there's her birthmark. It's her laugh. She looks just, it has to be her. And the age range would be right and everything." So they want to go on a hunt and find her, but they don't want to tell their mother until they've actually managed to find her and either bring her home or have contact. And so that's where it kind of goes from. There is not, how do I want to say it? It's more of a day to day with the sisters and their mom and, some background, but it is not, it still is a relaxing read for what it is. Even though there's a mystery there and someone they're trying to find, I just liked it. I liked the play between the sisters, and it just, yeah, it was one of those books that you can pick up and read it and then go, well, there. It's I don't think it's not a life-changing book. It's not in any direction it seems going at anybody. It is just read what happens to this family following what did happen with their sister disappearing. And I just thought it was a great little read.
Nice. Oh, it does sound delightful. Okay, is this a relatively new release or is this an older?
This just came out in March.
Oh, wow. I like the
Yep,
cover art. I would have been
I
drawn to
did
the
too.
cover art if I saw it on the shelf.
I did
Okay.
too.
I noticed that this one is not in the Libby app at all yet. So
Okay.
any good words you can put in?
Eventually, hopefully, yes.
Well, thank you, Therese. These were great recommendations. I really appreciate you taking the time to put the recommendations together and to share them and to just, open our minds with the ideas of all these new stories that we could be exploring.
I always hope people find something, out of what we put out there.
Yeah, I know that I have, and I'm looking forward to exploring some of these reads too. So please come back and join us again next month with some more recommendations.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. You've been watching Coffee on the Coast, this episode of Book Banter, brought to you by C. Hafer News. Thank you for that sponsorship. My guest today was Therese Horstketter, librarian with the Manitowoc Public Library, with some book recommendations. So good to see you, Therese.
You too.
Take care, everyone.